Happy Thursday, everybody. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. A shortened edition. We only go an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to have to cram a lot of things in because I have thoughts. And you know I can't get out of here without sharing those thoughts. That's why we're all here, okay? 877-353-0700. No show tomorrow, which means you get to air your grievances today. We'll just keep the text lines open for grievances. All right? We got some leaderboard updates.
I might cut you off mid-sentence like I'm doing now. Hey, grievance, here you go.
Grievance. James just interrupted me. Also, grievance. He has a grievance. What's your grievance? Okay, we're going to do it all. We're going to pack it all in. Utah women's basketball in action against BYU coming up in just over an hour.
Did you catch any of it yesterday?
Any of the Big 12 tournament?
Any of the
BYU Houston?
games specifically?
For some reason, the television wasn't working yesterday.
Well, it was ESPN Plus only too.
Oh yeah, so I would have to pull it up on
that's
my
a good
phone.
point. That's a good point. It was basically all of the mid-show. I watched it as I was taking care of the sick boy yesterday at home. You
were Florence Nightingale yesterday.
Yeah, I was. Thankfully, he's feeling much better, so that's why I'm back today. But yeah, it was. So Utah and BYU, pretty much the same fatal flaw. They turned the ball over too much. So, BYU had like 15 first half turnovers, maybe, give or take a couple there. I can't remember the exact number, but they had a ton of first half turnovers, which is why Houston was even in the game for most of the time. So if BYU, that's one thing is like, okay, Utah's got a great chance to win if BYU turns the ball over a lot, which they tend to do, but also BYU has a great chance to win if Utah turns the ball over a lot today. So we'll see. Hopefully it's the former, not the latter. BYU being the team turn the ball over a bunch and Utah taking advantage. But we'll see how it goes.
Obviously, tournament play means you're either going to continue after today or you could potentially be done for the season. Both of these teams are bubble teams. Utes a little bit higher on the bubble than BYU is, but no guarantees for anybody. You want to make a nice deep run on the glass floor. What do we think about that? I watched a bunch of the highlights, right? We didn't watch it live. Watched some of the later stuff. I think the only flaw with the glass floor that I can see so far is not the floor itself. It's not the technology. It's the design. It's the fact that they did that excessively busy, super marked up Big 12
Same one
court.
they did last year. They just said, yeah, we like this still for some reason.
I think that, it would be really cool to have seen them do, like, because they can make it look however they want to make it look, right? So first quarter, BYU home floor. Second quarter, Houston home floor. Let's fast forward to today's game. First half, you're on the Utes home floor. Second half, you're on BYU's home floor, or you switch back quarter for quarter.
You know what? I don't know if this would just look crazy, too busy, and not look good at all. But what if half the court is Utah, half the court's BYU, half the court, and then the middle like
is the
neutral zone? You divide out like a 5-foot neutral zone as Big 12 logo. Maybe that would look way too crazy. Though.
No, we do that with bowl games all the time, right?
Yeah,
where
with the end zones.
The end zones. Why not do it on a basketball floor? Especially with a color combination like Utah BYU, it would work just fine.
Yeah.
On some of them, it might get a little bit blah. Like if you got Arizona State versus Oklahoma State, and it's just like you got the maroon and the yellow and then the orange and the black, like that could be a little bit ugly. But a red, effectively a red, white, and blue floor on either end. I like the idea of it. I think that, like anything else, any new technology, any innovation, any whatever, you got to work out some of the kinks, and we're doing that in real time with this new floor at the Big 12 women's basketball tournament. And then, of course, the men's will be shortly next week or coming this weekend. So I don't know. I like it. I like the possibilities. I like the idea behind it, and we'll see how it actually plays out.
And maybe
as it continues.
Maybe OC, you mentioned the bowl games, how it's just the end zones, and then the middle of the field is the bowl logo, right? If you at least do like the baselines, like they do the end zones, that's Utes baseline on one, and then the middle of the floor is your
just don't do that weird pattern, right?
Yeah.
You just put the Big 12 tournament logo in the
Phillips 66
in the middle of the floor, and then from the 3-point line in, you've got branding for Utah, branding for BYU, you've got branding for Kansas, branding for Cincinnati, whatever.
Yeah, everything is on the table with these courts. So you might as well try stuff like
first quarter, make it the Celtics traditional parquet floor. Second quarter, it's that weird eyesore of the Oregon trees. Third quarter, you can make it the Boise State Smurf turf. You could do whatever you want.
They could be playing basketball on a football field.
You know how cool that would look if you made it green and looked like you can't do it for the actual tournament games, but you know how awesome that would be.
You'd have to make some graphic that has like the adapted basketball lines, of course. I mean, I told you they had the CEO of the company that now owns the floor, and I wondered if it was. I texted you like, "Is this your producer friend?" And you said no. He sold the rights to it.
Yes.
So they had the CEO on at halftime, and he said they only for the first couple of games yesterday, and I assume for the whole day yesterday, they were only using it at like 25% of its capacity. And the reason why is, at least during the game, all it was that court. They didn't try to do what they showed you in the tweet, like, hey, look, we can make it Colorado's home floor. We can make it. They just kept the Big 12 court, and then I think during timeouts, which you did not see in the ESPN Plus broadcast, they had like commercials playing on the floor.
You could do whatever you want on the floor. But he said
they were only operating about 25%.
They have the little flash of
do a little bit more
of the lines, like you can, it's kind of like NBA Jam. You can sort of like, 3-pointer, 3-point line lights up brighter, that kind of thing. Again, it's just a playing surface, but there's a lot of ways that you can tweak this and make it, especially for a tournament where it's supposed to be a little bit more neutral, where you can make it fun. For the big picture ramifications, it's going to be a decade plus before anything like this is regular in the NBA, if ever. I think NBA players are very, very particular about the flooring, so this is going to be a tough thing. All-Star game, you'll see it. All-Star weekend, you're going to see it. Like G League, I imagine you see this in the G League. I want to know if you can use it. I was talking about it yesterday. I want to know if you can use it on NHL ice.
That'd be awesome.
Where it's underneath the ice, and it still shines up through the ice. Imagine the possibilities with stuff like that. So pretty cool, but it's fun to see the Big 12 trying things, and I hate that the Big 12 has to be the one that tries things to sort of catch up, close revenue gaps, things like that. But at least, Brett Yormark, in my own head, I have a complicated picture of Brett Yormark. Sometimes I'm just like, please stop what you're doing right now. Close your mouth. Don't do this. Don't say this. And other times I'm like, you know what? Leave no stone unturned for this Big 12 conference, because you are playing from a disadvantaged position, especially in that financial world, but from a lot of different geographically, you're playing from a disadvantaged position, population-wise, a disadvantaged position, and all that, of course, factors in to the whole economics of it. The big news yesterday for the local sports teams was the Utah Mammoth. In the trade deadline coming on tomorrow, the Utah Mammoth have acquired Mackenzie Weegar from Calgary. So Dmitry Simashev is back up from the Tucson Roadrunners, and a little package including Oli Mata and a couple of picks headed to Calgary for Mackenzie Weegar, who I don't expect any of you to have a deep knowledge of what Mackenzie Weegar will bring. Comparatively, he is a far more productive player than Oli Mata. Shout out to Oli, bronze medalist. Happy that he had some success here and was, a valuable member of the team while he was on the team. But everyone I have talked to in the actual hockey world, everyone that knows the ins and outs of the hockey world, seemed to like this move for the Utah Mammoth. Hard-nosed, puck-moving, right-handed D-man. He has 30-plus assists in 4 of his last 5 seasons. He's got 5 years left on his contract. And the most important thing here might not even be the player himself. Although I have no reason to believe anything but he's going to be a great addition to the team. You want this team to be a little bit tougher, a little bit more hard-nosed. I think you need more big hitters. I think you need I know that Bill Armstrong and Coach Bear have talked about their desire to build a team identity that is, a little more intimidating, a little bit more daunting. And the size that you drafted last year on the blue line, bringing in someone who's an experienced and productive facilitator on the blue line, it makes sense in a lot of different ways. The most important thing about this trade is not even who you got or who you sent out. It's the fact that this is a player who had a no-trade clause, who said, I will waive my no-trade clause in order to play for Utah. That's a group I want to be a part of. That's a franchise that right now in NHL circles has a great reputation. I'm going to go back to an analogy that I think a lot of you hated, but I still love. The Utah Mammoth, that's the dog. The Utah Jazz, that's the cat. Smith Entertainment Group, Ryan Smith is finding out, man, it's a lot easier and more fun owning a dog than a cat. There's nothing wrong with having cats. Cats, though, like in the trade market, in the personnel market, NBA players are the cats here. And when they hear you're going to Utah, Trey J, you're leaving Memphis, you're packing up your stuff, you're moving to Salt Lake City, Utah to play for the Utah Jazz, who are aggressively tanking right now, right? We have nothing to indicate that there was any, bad reaction from Jaren Jackson Jr., but an aloof reaction, a neutral reaction is about as much as you got there.
We always hear that the group chats or the DMs, whatever these players use to interact with each other, we always hear that we always hear stories of oh, you got traded to Utah. Oh, that sucks. Or
in the NBA, it's always oh, sorry, man, you're going to Utah. Especially, right? Especially if you're a young black player.
We don't know if that was the case with Trey J and people in his circles saying those kind of stuff to him, but maybe.
And to the credit of the organization and to the ownership group and to the city itself, it's becoming less of a narrative than it used to be. But I picture this trade, right, where you go to the Utah Humane Society. Shout out to the good people down there doing God's work, making sure animals have homes, right?
Dogs and cats.
Dogs and cats, right? You walk in and the cats are all in their little crates, right? And you're the family. And I imagine that when you go pick a cat, the other cats are just like, good luck, have fun. As the cat is being taken out, right?
It's taunting.
All the other cats are just like, oh, that looks like it sucks going to live with that family.
Being catty.
Yeah. Oh, look, that family's got 3 kids. Those kids are going to be all over you.
You don't hear. I'm not saying one's better than the other. One animal's better than the other, but you don't. There's no phrase being doggy. Okay.
Well. Meow, meow. Oh, it sucks to be you. Meow. Right? The cats. You walk into the Humane Society. I've done this before. You walk into the Humane Society, and the cats are just like, oh, there's another person. And they're kind of looking at you like, what are you here for? You walk into the Humane Society, and unfortunately there are some dogs who are a little skittish. But most of the dogs, what are they doing? Nose to the fence, nose to the glass, wagging their tails so much that their feet can't hold still. And they're just all up in your grill. They get all the way up. They're excited. They're happy to see you. That is what the NHL is doing and NHL players are doing when they hear about the possibility of playing for the Utah Mammoth. It's, I want to be part of this. Let me be a part of this. I will waive my no-trade clause to be a part of this. I want to be here so bad that I am going to change the language in my contract in order to make that happen. And by the way, I don't think it's a outside the realm of possibility that that's a normal thing moving forward, that the Utah Mammoth are a destination franchise in the NHL. Mackenzie Weegar's, he's a good player. He's looking at it and he's saying, wait a second. I'm going to go to a team that has a friendly salary cap situation, that is a team on the rise, that has young players who are also committed to this franchise for the long haul. I'm going to go play for this squad. We're going to get together with this group, and I get to be part of something for, in his case, 5 years, when they've got Gunther and Cooley and Keller and all these guys kind of locked up. They feel like they've got the right goaltender. Says, okay, I know the picture of what this franchise looks like in the future, the short term and the long term. I have a good sense of this. So, yeah, I'll waive that no trade clause. It's so refreshing. It's so different for Utah sports fans to have a professional franchise where they're like, yeah, the players in that league want to be here. The players in this league, in the NHL, want to be in the state of Utah. And look, there's all of the obvious tropes and reasons that you can point to as to why it's probably an easier sell for NHL players than for NBA players. We know what those are, right? Demographically, culturally, we're getting better on the NBA side. But you don't have to wait for it. You don't have to be patient with it on the NHL side. You're already there. In the second year of this franchise's existence, the first year that you're called the Utah Mammoth, people are already saying, yeah, I want to go be part of that. Let's see what we can do in Salt Lake City. Oh, Winter Classic in 11 months? Yeah, let me go play for that team. Not even 10 months now. You know how cool that is? Anyway, I'm excited about it. I think you should be too. Lots to get to on the show today. One of the things we are lucky enough to get to on the show today, Zach Partridge, what's your official title at Fierce Fighting Championship? The brains behind the operation?
I'm the Chief Operating Officer.
Okay, wow. He's in the C-suite. He's in the C-suite, ladies and gentlemen. The COO of Fierce Fighting is here in studio with us. Good to see you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. 10th anniversary show coming up at the Masonic Temple this weekend.
Yeah.
Have you been part of all 10 of those years?
No. I started when my first show with Fierce was actually with you calling the fights at the Maverick Center. That was my I was supposed to be on a show at the Maverick Center against Johan Rubio.
Yep.
They got canceled due to COVID.
Yeah.
When they rebooked the show, I wasn't able to fight at that time. Cody, who started it from the beginning, he's like, I was doing the Damage Plan MMA podcast then. And he's like, hey, do you want to come do the commentary with Sean O'Connell? And I said, absolutely. And so that's my role.
I didn't realize that was the first.
That was my
commentary role you had with them.
So that was my first night doing anything with Fierce.
Wow.
And then it was, and then it turned into, hey, I would like to start learning the business a little bit. I know I'm not going to fight professionally forever. I'm a professional fighter now, but
that's funny you say that because that was a while ago and you're still doing it.
I mean, I'm not going to like the UFC or anything like that. Like, I'd like to learn more of the business side. And so he said, yeah, like, do you want to start helping with some matchmaking? And I said, sure. And I kind of was starting getting some stuff done faster than he expected. And so and then we talked and stayed in touch. And finally he's like, dude, you got it. You have the passion, the drive. I'm not giving the show the attention that it totally needs to take it anywhere here. And he turned it over to me.
That's pretty cool. Now, so you've been not for all 10 years, but for several of these years, you've been kind of the driving force here. And you got a card coming up this weekend, so it might not be the right time to ask this, but what have you learned about the sport, about fighters, about fight camps that you didn't know when you took the job, but now you're just like, oh, I can't believe I didn't know that.
You know, when what I know now versus then, the most interesting thing is you learn behind closed doors what fighters prioritize and what makes different people tick. You see all the social media posts, I'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, all that stuff.
By the way, every fighter on the planet says that. There's like
not a lot that'll actually do
There's
it.
like 2% that are actually that way.
Yeah. So you start learning that, right? I mean, I keep joking with our guy that joined me here before and does our podcast and play-by-play, Blake Arulian. I keep joking that if I'm ever done at Fierce, we're going to sit down and do a tell-all podcast. And I want to let people know who's really down and who's says they're down and not, because I got receipts. But no, it's just interesting to just see the different personality and dynamics and just different people tick for, in different ways. And it's fascinating. All the fighters struggling for the most part, coming up, trying to figure out their day job and their training or fight full time. I mean, it's just weird, and it's just interesting, and it's just completely ongoing. But I think we're really lucky to be in this growth of MMA right now with all the cool things that are happening everywhere. So I think the timing has been fun for the ride for sure.
We talked about it a little bit already, but main event in this one, you've got Mike Jones, Tony Lopez. Mike, I think we agree, is probably the top fighter, one of the top fighters in Utah right now. And he's sort of like, I don't really care what weight class I'm at. But also on this card, you've got some of the top guys in each, like in several different weight classes, showcasing the Utah talent on this anniversary show. You can tell you put some real effort into this card.
I do with every card. I think that's something that that helps Fierce. It's okay.
Let me get my dog. You answer the question.
The kid.
I'll get the dog.
You're good. I think that's one of the things that helps our show do it to be successful, though, is I'm not trying to just find two guys in the same weight class. I try really hard. I don't know how many matchmakers do this, but I usually watch film on the fighters before I offer the fights, because the styles do make the fights, right? And when you're on a regional scene and everybody's on a basically one fight deal all the time, they're not on multi-fight deals like the UFC, so it's not like we have a roster to go through. So when we're bringing people in or we're matching people up that we know, we want to make the most entertaining fights possible for the fans. And the fans want to see knockouts, and they want to see finishes, or they want to see active work the whole time. So I feel like myself and the few that help me with the matchmaking, we do a pretty good job with that.
Doors open at 4:00. Fights start at 5. You can go to fiercefightingchampionship.com, put in ESPN as the discount code, let them know where you heard about Fierce Fighting Championships. And again, this is at the Masonic Temple in Salt Lake City. It's a great partnership you've developed there.
Yeah.
This is, how many shows have you done now at the Masonic Temple?
Oh man, we've got to be at least coming up on 10 or 12. We started there last November. I would say 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, I think we're about 10, 11 shows in there. Very unique venue, very, very cool vibe. Everything's intimate, cool. Not a bad seat in the house. Yeah. It's my favorite fight venue in Utah. I'm being totally honest.
I've fought at a lot of places in Utah. I never got to fight at the Masonic Temple. I don't think they were doing MMA events there.
It's not too late, Sean.
Depends on who you talk to. You've got this card, and then April, May, June, September, October. You guys are staying active.
We'll be and we'll be booking in August, and there's some other dates that'll come too. But I mean, yeah. So the last 2 years we've done 13 shows a year, and we're on track to do that again this year. So we do stay active, and we are building something that is unique and special to Utah that a lot of states don't have. You wouldn't believe how many fighters come from Vegas, California, back east, Florida, and go, man, I wish we had a show that was doing this, that was this active, trying to, like, we do, but, we need the fans to keep coming out and supporting these athletes to do it. I mean, I always tell people, when you buy tickets, go pick a fighter, go pick a Mike Jones, give them credit, because that's what helps put money in their pocket too. So keeps the show going, keeps the fighters able to keep doing what they want to do, and it's just for everybody's entertainment.
And the same way you like to root for your NFL guys that were at Utah, at BYU, at Utah State or whatever, Fierce is providing this kind of pipeline for guys to have the experience, to build the experience, to get themselves to the bigger shows. Grassroots MMA is kind of dying in a lot of states, in a lot of places, and we're really lucky to have that not be the case here because, I work for a major organization. In the PFL, there's this gap, right, where it's like, oh, well, we can get people who the fans already know and maybe are aging out a little bit of like the UFC or aging out of other promotions or aging out of what we really want them to be in the PFL. Where are the young guys coming up? And it's like, okay, well, Fierce is one of the small handful that are producing the kind of fighter necessary to populate these bigger cards, to populate these bigger organizations.
The reality is, since coming out of COVID year after year in the United States, the number of events is trending down by about 12% every year.
Wow.
It's diminishing rosters. We are seeing the effects right now in the UFC, especially like the heavyweight division, some of the female divisions. Like they're just getting smaller to the point where we're like, somebody brought it up the other day. I think there's less than 25 active heavyweights in the UFC, and they're almost to the point where they're like, it's so weird, right? Because the heavyweight champion of the world is such a prestigious thing, but the pool is so low. They're like, could we see a world where there's no heavyweight division anymore? No, I don't think so.
It's funny.
But the talent has to come.
Yeah, we've had this. I've had this conversation with the top of the PFL organization. Like, hey, there are maybe 60, 70 total heavyweights in the world that people really want to watch, right? Because my theory is heavyweight-sized people have other options. Heavyweight-sized people end up being NHL players, NFL players, NBA players, rugby players, if we're talking about overseas, right? It's a difficult life, not always the most lucrative thing to get into the UFC, to get into the PFL, to get into one championship, whatever. It's a long, tough road. And if you're over 6 feet tall, you're over 200 pounds, you probably got selected out into some other athletic endeavor at some point, right? So do you want to get rid of a heavyweight division? But again, you don't have to if you support grassroots MMA and if you support we've got what, 3 young heavyweights at our gym right now that someday will be, if they stick with it, they someday will be on these big shows. Guess where they're going to cut their teeth? Guess where they're going to get the fights and the experience? Right here at the Masonic Temple and Fierce Fighting Championship.
And that's really what it is. And as more shows, I appreciate all the love that we get at Fierce, and people tell us, hey, you guys are doing a great job and doing this and that. But, we run on pretty thin margins, and that's why most shows are going away, is because they're doing less shows to make it more scarce so people buy tickets more regularly, and then they just stack up. They do less shows, stack up the cards with bigger ticket sellers, which it just gives less opportunities to the fighters. That's why we've been pretty determined to not cut back on shows, even though maybe financially and business sense-wise, it would probably be the smarter thing to do.
We'll continue to not make the business decision.
Yeah,
keep making decisions that helps the sport.
We're really grateful for our partners. Being able to come do this with you on ESPN, get the word out. Our partners at like R&R Barbecue, they promote a lot for us. Rockwell, all those guys, like they help a lot to help us keep this train going. But coming out and support, and it's not a bad time.
It's a fun time.
It's so fun to watch these kids. Let me tell you this: I had yesterday for this card this weekend. I had a kid pull out. His mom had a heart attack.
Oh, sad.
It's horrible. And he's like, I hope this doesn't ruin my relationship with Fierce, but I can't. Obviously, it's an amateur MMA fight. Go be with your mom.
Yeah.
He's fighting a kid from my gym up in Layton. On fight day, he will be 18 years old in 8 days, the youngest fighter to ever fight for Fierce.
That's awesome.
He's still a senior in high school. His opponent just pulled out. He sold a bunch of tickets. I think he's top 2 or 3 on the card of selling tickets. All of his high school friends are coming out, and now he doesn't have an opponent. So I have to find somebody that already has their medicals and everything done because we're so close to the card this weekend.
What weight class?
At 145. I start making some
other weights. Get your butts moving.
Ready for this. And Sean, you'll appreciate this. At 4:30, I'm at my son's junior high wrestling meet, and I start texting and trying to find somebody. a kid that lost on our kickboxing card on February 21st, who is also still in high school at Farmington High School, 18 years old, said, I would love the opportunity. He just fought at 125 in kickboxing. He weighs 136 right now. The other kid prepared and dialed in on his weight cut. We went from 145, now dropping to a 140 catch weight to meet in the middle for both of their amateur debut MMA fights. How many pros do you know could make that pivot on 3 days' notice?
Well, and they don't, right? And they don't make the sacrifice, and especially going down an extra 5 pounds when you're already probably lean as heck at 140. The kids are going to be all right. To hear the high school kids are doing this, man.
How cool is that?
We have faith in America's future in the hands of these tough kids.
And they no hesitation from either of them.
That's great.
Love
that.
The kid making the debut said, my dad told me that pullouts are part of the game. Be prepared to fight March 7th. Don't be so focused on your opponent. Zach and your coach.
Hey, good job, Dad. Good job, Dad.
Zach and your coach, they won't put you in there with anything you won't be able to be prepared for. And, man, when that pullout happened and that switch happened, he was like, rock and roll, let's go.
That's awesome.
And the kid that stepped in. It fires me up.
That attitude will take you a long way. In this sport, if you stay in it, it'll take you a long way. It'll also take you a long way in life if you just roll with whatever punches. Gosh dang it, that gets me fired up. I love it.
Christian Vandermyle, Northridge High School. Kevin Sunderberg from Farmington High School. First high school versus high school matchup in Fierce history, and the youngest kid in Fierce history. So if you want to see what this is about, come watch these two kids along with some. So we have the both spectrums. Come watch the two youngest kids and come watch Mike Jones fight a 52-year-old vet with over 100 fights. So beginning of the card, end of the card, and everything in between.
I love it. FierceFightingChampionship.com. Put ESPN in for your discount code. Masonic Temple. Doors open at 4. First fight at 5. March 7th. That's on Saturday. Be there. Lots left to get to on the Sean O'Connell Show. It's ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. The early enrollments are open here for our $1 Million Bracket Challenge. ESPN700sports.com. Get ready for the madness, brought to you by Big Willie's, Game Day Men's Health, Intermountain Bobcat, Budweiser, International Sportsman's Expo, and the Utah RV Super Show. Our hot lunch is coming. The show is brought to you every day by our friends at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main. The perfect place to be watching these Big 12 tournament games. The perfect place to go down, especially when we get to Selection Sunday, when you get to March Madness. And there's that first weekend of March Madness, one of the most glorious sports viewing experiences you can have. Nothing better than sitting down, multiple TVs, several different games. You don't have to clean up after yourself. You just order your drinks, you order your food, you eat it all up, you watch the game. You either like the result, you're mad about the results, you had money on this team, you didn't like that team, whatever. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. There are 17 more games for me to watch. I'm going to be at Big Willie's today, tomorrow, the next day. Make it your destination for the upcoming NCAA tournament.
And if you get bored just sitting there eating, you can go play pool, and you can still see the games because they've got TVs everywhere, right? At Big Willie's, you can watch the games while you shoot some pool at the #1 pool hall in Utah too.
It's a great spot, so go check them out. Tell them OC sent you. We need to throw in a little leaderboard update here, James.
We do.
Our PGA Tour leaderboard updates are brought to you by our friends over at You Into Golf by Worldwide Golf.
It's the Arnold Palmer Invitational, OC.
Crazy that people don't know this. The crazy thing about the Arnold Palmer Invitational is it's actually not golf. It's just drinking as much iced tea and lemonade.
You beat me to it. I was going to make the dumb iced tea and lemonade Arnold Palmer joke.
That's what this. It's just It's like Kobayashi and Joey Chestnut and a bunch of professional leaders trying to drink as many Arnie Palmies as they can.
I'm
sorry, golf fans. I'm sorry I just did that to you.
No, I'm sure that that the Arnold Palmer drinks are flowing at the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill Club every year. But yes, there is golf too. Arnold Palmer was also a golfer, OC. I don't know if you knew that. Daniel Berger is your leader at 9 under. He's finished his opening round. He's 4 shots up on Jonathan Vegas, who's 5 under. Cameron Young also tied for second at 5 under. Tied for fourth is a handful of guys, including Adam Scott. Still got a few more holes left in his round. He's at 4 under, so he's got a shot to at least go into second place there. 5 shots off the lead, 1 shot behind the guys tied for second. Tied for seventh, a handful of guys, including Xander Schauffele, 2-time major winner, Minwoo Lee. They're all at 3 under. That rounds out the top 10. Tony Finau not in the field yet again. That's a couple straight tournaments for him, not in the field. Of course, that's the one thing about golf that I wish that they made it. There was I don't know if it's an ideal number of tournaments or something that just everybody played in every tournament, right? It's a little bit tough when you get it's not load management, but it's like you pick your own schedule and there's 100 tournaments, so I'm only going to do like 25 or whatever.
I mean, when we talk about the greatest sports jobs there are to have, as long as you're at a certain level, you're good enough. PGA golfer, I'm not even a golf guy, but that's way, way up there. That's like we're flirting with backup NFL quarterback territory here.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, Tony, do you want to go to the tournament that's in North Dakota? No. What about Pebble Beach? Yes, I'll go to that one.
You want to go to Africa for a tournament?
You want to go?
Maybe.
Which part? I don't know. Sunshine Coast in South Africa? Yeah, I'll go. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably way off.
Sounds good.
I don't know if they
what
do
about
tournaments.
you want to go to Perth in Western Australia? It takes about 30 hours to fly there. No, I won't do that one.
We'll just say, oh, you want to be done before Thanksgiving? Okay. That's fine.
Here's the problem if you only participate in the tournaments that you have circled here, you're only going to be like a low-level millionaire. Are you okay with that? You mean if I win all those tournaments? No. Just like
Just
if you
participate. Just
if you go to all of these,
making the cut on in half of them.
you got to make the cut, and obviously your sponsors are going to pay you kind of regardless. So like, if you're not hard charging, then you're probably only going to make like $4 million this year. Are you okay with that? You're just like, I'm going to make $4 million, and I'm going to go hang out on Pebble Beach and Miramar and
only work every other week or whatever.
Augusta and Shinnecock Hills, and like, I can 3 days out of the week I can drive my kids to school and pick them up from school and do all that stuff. Yep. Okay. I mean, good for you.
And in the case of Tony Finau, many other golfers have done this too, but Tony Finau is one that's made a name for bringing his whole family. He's got a lot of kids. Bringing his whole family with him. Oh, you let me travel with my family too? Great. Yeah, that's a pretty sweet gig the pro golfers have.
6 kids, by the way.
6 kids, that's right.
For Tony and his wife, Elena.
That's your PGA Tour leaderboard update brought to you by You Into Golf. All of that was part of the update.
Yes. Yes. The PBA, professional bowling, is getting a lot of run right now on the television.
Oh, yeah. The ghost of Pete Weber, legend. I don't know if he's still bowling.
Is that the guy, you know who you are?
Yeah, you know.
You think you are? I am.
Who do you think you are? I am.
By the way, what an iconic quote that makes no sense.
That's like a classic, like, I'm so fired up, I just want to yell. I don't even care what comes out of my mouth.
Saying random stuff right now, and I like it.
Also, Mookie Betts has bowled a few events on the PBA over the years. Did you know that? Mookie Betts has been a pro bowler.
No, Mookie Betts? No, Mookie Betts can't be a pro bowler because he doesn't play in the NFL.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Have we talked about that, by the way? We have. My idea to save the Pro Bowl, you make it a PBA event.
Yeah. Make it bowling.
You make it bowling.
I was listening. Dan Patrick last week or the week before, which, of course, you can hear every morning here 7 to 10 on ESPN 792.1 FM. Dan Patrick was talking about family members or friends who are not sports fans. I think it was some women in his life. They were like, wait, why? That football player is also a bowler? When he's talking about Pro Bowl. And they're like, no. They called the All-Star game the Pro Bowl. So the people who play are Pro Bowlers. No, they're not Pro Bowlers. Something that us sports fans, especially NFL fans and football fans, you just don't think that anyone would confuse. But then once someone confuses it and brings it to your attention, you're like, oh, yeah, wow. I could see why someone might think that, as weird as that is.
We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back with the hot lunch. There is a very strange bet out there in the sports media / pop culture space that I desperately hope we see someone cash in on. Logan Paul is offering any NFL player $1 million to fight him. We're going to decide who we're sending to represent the NFL. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Time for the hot lunch, brought to you by our friends over at Burger Fusion in Trolley Square. This place is absolutely incredible. Everything on the menu has been excellent so far. Yesterday, they brought in an experimental menu item that I got to weigh in on. It was absolutely fantastic. I also learned something.
You got to tell me more about it because I was not able to tune in during the hot lunch yesterday.
So Mike and DJ, our guy DJ, sent a little message over like, hey, thinking about putting this on the menu so your vote on whether it's good or bad is going to matter. I was like, oh, okay, what is this? It was a brisket burnt end sausage. So utilizing his culinary magic, Mike and company over there at Burger Fusion, they took this brisket burnt ends, which are one of my favorite things in the world to eat. They ground it up and made it a homemade sausage, right? They butterflied that. They filleted that thing open, and they laid it on their homemade buns. They put the bourbon barbecue sauce on it, the slaw, the hot honey pickles. And so you had a sausage burger, right, which I learned yesterday on the text line is called a Dublin. I didn't know it was called that.
Oh.
James, it was excellent. Now, I don't know if the long-term plan, if he puts it on the menu, is to keep doing it on the burger buns or if he's going to, they're going to make a sausage bun, a hot dog bun
or something, yeah.
Either way, it was absolutely incredible. And listen to what is on offer today. Again, the garlic parmesan burger is the burger of the week. That's the special this week. You need to go pick that thing up before it disappears. I'm trying to convince Mike to put that one on the menu permanently. The Savannah Gold Rush burger. Again, I'm not pretending when I tell you that my mouth waters thinking about these things because the flavor profiles at Burger Fusion are absolutely incredible. Candied bacon, sharp cheddar cheese, a grilled peach, caramelized onion, peach pepper jelly aioli, and their signature crispy slaw, which if you're used to having just like plain old lettuce on top of your burger, the slaw gives it more crisp, changes the mouthfeel a little bit. I love what they are doing. That's just the burger. I don't know what side they're going to bring in, if they're going to bring in a side, but the Savannah Gold Rush burger, candied bacon, cheddar cheese, a grilled peach, caramelized onions, peach pepper jelly, aioli. Yes.
That's amazing. And listen, we've said this before. We are not exaggerating because they're a client. This is probably the best burgers I've ever had. All the burgers they brought in, he has not missed. And every time I try a new one of those, I'm like, I think that's my favorite. It's so good.
I think the diversity of how and how much they hit on every one of these burgers is the thing that really separates Burger Fusion from everywhere else. The quality of the ingredients is way up there, starting with that patty. Putting Wagyu chuck in a burger patty. There's a lot of folks out there in the culinary world who are just like, don't listen to that. Wagyu has to be like this very carefully curated, and you got to cook it a certain way. And they're Wagyu snobs. It would be a lot easier and a heck of a lot cheaper for Burger Fusion to leave that quality of meat out of their mix for the patties. They put it in because they care about what this burger is at the end of the day, and it is excellent.
When Mike told us 2 weeks ago when they first did their week, sponsored the hot lunch for a week, he told us in studio he started this basically based off his own experimentation, his own recipes, grilling in the backyard, right? And so that's the reason why he's willing to try things like using Wagyu to make a burger. When you're like anyone, a bunch of chefs that went to culinary school would be like, yeah, no, that's a cardinal sin. He's like, no, I make things that I want to eat, that I think, oh, this tastes good to me. And he's brought it to us, anyone who comes into Burger Fusion, and seriously, it's can't miss. So head over to Burger Fusion, Trolley Square. It's the same building as the Whole Foods. It's right next to the Trolley, if you know where the Trolley is at Trolley Square. And it's a cool spot. I don't know if you've been in to eat yet, OC. I mentioned I have. It's a really cool spot to eat too. And they've got the full bar, beer and wine. So if you want some booze with your meal, you can have that too.
All right, 877-353-0700. Text me the NFL player, especially with local connections, you want to take this bet. All right, Logan Paul, the brother of Jake Paul, you've seen him if you watch professional wrestling. He's done a really incredible job there. He's part of the podcast space and part of the professional wrestling space. He's done a couple exhibition boxing matches. He famously did the one against Floyd Mayweather many, many years ago. Look, he's in great shape. He's a really good athlete. He and his brother were both good high school wrestlers back in Ohio, which is not an easy thing. That's a tough talent pool. He was on the podcast yesterday. And again, like, these guys are marketing geniuses because I don't want to talk about Logan Paul. And here I am on my own radio show talking about Logan Paul because he says outlandish things that are impossible even for me to ignore when I fully know what he's trying to do. He says $1 million, a $1 million standing bet for any NFL player to beat him in a boxing match. He says he would beat the bleep out of any NFL player. He was not giving any respect to NFL players. Now, this is the perfect group of people to throw that accusation, to throw that bet out to. You want to know why? Because every football player I know, high school, college, NFL, they all think they know how to fight. Every one of them does. Because why? They're big, they're strong, they're athletic. Everyone thinks that means you're a good fighter. It's not true. Okay? You find every player in the NFL right now, there are probably 20 or 30 that are actually good fighters. It's not the same skill set. Now, if you grew up fighting, if you grew up boxing, wrestling, you're probably a better fighter.
And you're talking about, like, competitive, not just you grew up in a tough area and you fought up people, or maybe
helps,
that too.
Even, especially if you're, 6'5", 275 pounds. If you've been in a dozen street fights and you're that big, like, maybe you have something.
Yeah.
But more likely, the only people who actually could win this bet, which is so frustrating for NFL people to hear, the only people who actually could win this bet are people who have trained. Because Logan Paul has trained. Now, I don't think he's particularly good. We saw that in his boxing match against Floyd Mayweather. But Floyd Mayweather can make anyone in the world look bad. I know he's sparred with his brother Jake. Jake is getting pretty darn good at boxing. He's not world-class, world championship level, but he's better than you are if you're out there listening.
Much to your chagrin, he's actually turned into a decent fighter.
If you have all the money in the world and can train 3 times a day with good training partners, you're going to get better if you have any kind of toughness and athleticism. And whether you love or hate the Paul brothers, unfortunately, they have those things, okay? But NFL players are lining up. Easy money, let's do it, let's take it. And, of course, the whole NFL collected fan base and media is just like, I would like to see this guy versus that guy. Braden Fajoko, who's got local connections. I think he's now a former NFL D lineman. Yeah. He said, I would beat the bleep out of you and your brother. Name a time and date, no sparring gear either. I don't know what Braden's combat sports background is. I don't know if he could win. Probably, hopefully.
I got one. A very former NFL player and more of a fringe NFL player, but your guy Ben Moa. Let's get him in the ring. And Logan Paul would be like, Logan Paul probably wouldn't realize that he's an actual fighter.
Yes. That would be perfect. Now, if anyone ever takes him up on this bet, it's unfortunately going to have to be someone with a decent name. Le'Veon Bell has a martial arts background. A lot of people are saying Le'Veon Bell's the guy that they would put in there. Like, again, Logan Paul is obnoxious, but Logan Paul is a good athlete, and he has trained a lot of boxing. And there's actually video out there, I don't know if any of you have seen this, where the Gronkowski brothers went on and somebody challenged somebody, and the Gronkowski brothers all agreed, not Rob, but 4 of the 5 Gronkowski brothers agreed to box Logan Paul. Okay? 3 of the 4 that agreed to spar him had played in the NFL. Rob Gronkowski, the only one that you actually need to keep healthy, he served as the referee in these boxing matches. The video is out there. You can find it. Logan Paul smashed all of them. Like, wasn't close. Killed them, each of them. Because they don't know what they're doing. So what we need, ladies and gentlemen, is we need an NFL player who actually does train. Max Crosby trains in his off seasons. Mercedes Lewis, the longtime professional tight end, he's been a lifelong martial artist. Michael Westbrook, the former wide receiver, he's been a lifelong martial artist. He's had professional MMA fights, actually. Lewis or Westbrook have to be the guys, or, you know, I'm sure there are people out there. Frank Gore has boxed. He lost to our guy, Darren Williams.
Oh, that's right. I was going to say, if we open up to NBA players, Damian Lillard is a boxer.
Dude, you know who's a good boxer? Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert. Well, yeah, actually, I heard the stories growing up. His mom, one of the first sports that she got him into was boxing and combat sports, well before he got into basketball. So, yeah. That's I didn't know how good he was, though. You say he's really good. That gotta mean something.
Also, he can punch you from across the room.
Yeah, he's got
this insane reach.
He's got that reach.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't like that it's coming from Logan Paul, but I love these conversations. I love when it's just like, hey, $1 million bet. Find me the NFL player. Brian Keel had an exhibition boxing match against Boo Anderson. Do you remember that? That was like a charity thing. Brian Keel's like, give him 6 months of training. Let's see if we can go win $1 million off Logan Paul. The $1 million, I'm sure, is a real offer because a sponsor, Netflix, whoever, will absolutely cover that nut for Logan Paul if anyone wants to take him up on this. We could actually see it. And I want to desperately.
I got someone, and then just before we had to break here, I got someone a couple of guys, former Utes who have the build, I think, and if they're willing to, you or someone else could train them up. Nate Orchard and Sly. Don't they just look like guys who could be good fighters if they committed to it?
Well, yes. You know who the former Ute is that everyone, I've told this story before. I asked this question a lot in previous years. I haven't lately, but there were probably 7 years in a row where when Utah football camp opened, I would ask the players, all right, one person on this team has to go win a fight, like a UFC fight. Who are you putting in there? Or you only get one person to be your backup in a dark alley. Who's it going to be? And usually you get an assortment of 4 or 5 different names. One year I asked, and everybody said the same person. Everybody said Pizza Talmoipenu when I asked them that question.
Okay.
Everybody on the team. I asked,
all right, Pizza, let's get $1 million here. Come on.
I asked one coach. I think maybe it was Lewis Powell. I don't know. But I asked a bunch of people, and every single one of them, without talking to each other, were like, "Oh, it's Pizza for sure." So maybe Pizza's our answer. Maybe Pizza is the hero we all need. All right. We have a shortened show today, so one last segment coming on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. All right, we have about 8 minutes left in today's show because Utah women's basketball and BYU are tipping off in about 25 minutes at the Big 12 tournament. Obviously, go Utes in that one for the most obvious of reasons. This is the third matchup between the two schools this season. BYU took down the first two. Utah can eliminate the Cougs with a win today, knocking on wood to see that happen. We need another leaderboard update. We got to get this one in, brought to you by You Into Golf by Worldwide Golf. Titleist, Ping, G4X, they've got everything at You Into Golf by Worldwide Golf. Go check them out. Tell them OC sent you. Thousands of dollars off in their Mania sale going on right now. WorldwideGolfShops.com online or You Into Golf locations all up and down the Wasatch Front. What's the leaderboard look like right now, James?
So Daniel Berger, still your leader at 9 under. He's finished for the day. Colin Morikawa has moved into a tie for second place with Jonathan Vegas, Cameron Young. He's got 1 hole left, too. He could jump ahead of those guys. They're at 5 under, 4 shots off the lead. Xander Schauffele is tied for 5th at 4 under. He's got 1 hole left there, so he's got a chance to move up. Min Woo Lee, Adam Scott in a group, handful of guys tied for 7th to round out the top 10 at 3 under. That's your PGA Tour leaderboard update brought to you by You Into Golf.
The Daily Dump every day is brought to you by our friends at Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Plumbing, drain cleaning, and now vent cleaning, furnaces, air conditioning, HVAC. They take care of all of it. Look for the truck with the duck. Go to valleyplumbing.com, set an appointment with their online chat tool. So no definitive answer so far on whether or not Aaron Rodgers is coming back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's an interesting QB market in free agency right now. James, let me ask you this question. You think your team, your roster is ready to win in 2026, but the missing piece is that quarterback position. You're the Seattle Seahawks, and you're trying to find your Sam Darnold. Okay, you have everything else you need. Let's drop a QB in here that can at least not screw it up for us, and let's get to the promised land. Now, I don't know if any team is really in that situation, but that's my hypothetical here. All right? Kyler Murray's going to be available. Kirk Cousins is available. Tua Tagovailoa is going to be available. Aaron Rodgers might also be in that mix. 1 year, 1 run toward the playoffs and hopefully a Super Bowl. Who are you taking? Or you're going to draft somebody in a thin quarterback draft class.
I think I might go Tua. I've never believed in him that much. I'll be honest with you. Other than like maybe his first year as a full-time starter at Alabama, I was like, okay, this guy's got the goods. But since then, he's not necessarily been bad, but he's not lived up to the expectation, right? And I would say the same thing for his time with Miami, even though a couple years ago, that first year with Tyreek Hill, he looked awesome. But anyway, I haven't believed in him that much, but out of that group, I think and this thin quarterback class, because you're not getting Fernando Mendoza. The Raiders are getting Fernando Mendoza. I think I'd go Tua.
Okay. Now, I threw those 4 names out on purpose because I think the other 2 that are available are probably the obvious answers for most people. Daniel Jones, if I put Daniel Jones in that mix, are you taking Daniel Jones?
Hold on now. Transition tag. You can't have him, okay? He's my Indiana Jones quarterback.
Okay.
Indianapolis, all right? The transition tag, which just basically makes him a restricted free agent. The Colts are going to match whatever offers gets out there. But, yeah, Daniel Jones, okay.
Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Malik Willis is going to make $25 million off of 26 pass attempts.
I might still pick Tua over Malik Willis. Malik Willis is like that guy that is so desirable because you only see him in limited action, and he's been really good. I still think I would take Tua over him.
There's certainly the potential of the Matt Flynn situation with Malik Willis, right? Jimmy Garoppolo is also available.
You can have him.
I don't want him, and I never did.
You can have him in San Fran if you want.
I never wanted him, and they gave him to us.
You know what? Vrabel can take him back to New England, and Josh McDaniels can make him a project for the 5th time in his career. How about that?
So, an interesting NFL free agency brewing after some releases, some cuts, some non-franchise tag placements. Kenneth Walker, we talked about on the show. What about Russell Wilson? You want Russell Wilson? Again, it's a 1-year run, James.
I don't want Russell Wilson.
You want Joe Flacco? He's only 42.
Yeah, I'll take Joe Flacco. I still would pick Tua over Flacco, but as my next one, maybe Flacco.
Kirk Cousins is what, 30? He's 37 years old.
I like Kirk Cousins. He's clearly dropped a few rungs since his Achilles tear, though. This is Kirk Cousins pre-Achilles tear. Absolutely, I'm taking him over the rest of the guys. Kirk Cousins, the way he is now, sorry, I don't want him.
Your team gets to select. You get to grab one free agent from the state that played his college ball in the state of Utah, Rashid Shaheed or Devin Lloyd.
Ooh, Devin Lloyd. Come on now.
Coming off a second-team All-Pro year. Let's go. Jaguars aren't going to let him go anywhere.
Shout out to Rashid Shaheed, though. Great run with the Seahawks at the end.
Yeah, Devin Lloyd's going to stay probably in a Jaguars uniform for about $20 million a year. Good job, Devin Lloyd. All right. Thank you to everyone for listening today on a shortened show. We're going to turn it over to Utah women's basketball from here on out. Same thing tomorrow. We've got Big 12 women's basketball.
If they hopefully we get a win here. Obviously, if they lose, they're out of the tournament. But they win, we'll have that at 12:30.
Okay.
Have that at 12:30, and then Rich Eisen will be on until then. And if they fall today, we'll have full Rich Eisen show tomorrow.
And Rich Eisen's going to be holding it down for me because I've got a Gorilla Trek and then I've got PFL duties. But for now, Utah women's basketball next on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.